Okay, so the latest Tottenham transfer news. A lot been happening at Tottenham, and I'm pretty sure there's an awful lot going on behind the scenes that probably we don't know about. But just a quick update of all the ins and outs and all the recent names that have been mentioned and associated with Spurs, and get a full update on where we're at with players leaving, players coming in, and any rumours out there of potential signings. So first one to talk about is Kieran Trippier, the right back, obviously signed for Atletico Madrid for, there's some rumours saying 20 million, 25 million, but somewhere in that 20-25 million. He's sort of in a press conference suggested that it was an opportunity he couldn't pass up. It's no surprise really. He's a player I wouldn't have liked to see leave, but I can understand why. He didn't have the best of seasons last year. I think he had his eye over his shoulder, sort of seeing some of the younger players, Walker Peters, Foyth coming through, and probably felt that at 28 years old, his time was numbered at Tottenham. And for Levy, you can probably see that it's a good bit of business for a 28-year-old that perhaps doesn't feel confident in retaining that first choice right back spot for the whole of next season. So although it's sad to see him go, I think it's probably good business for the player and long term for the club. But it's unfortunate that it comes in with around other departures. So Danny Rose obviously hasn't gone on the pre-season tour, so that's a big statement that, you know, obviously he's looking at his decision for potentially other clubs, and there's talk that PSG are interested in him. And again, terrific player. You know, be sorry to see him go. I think he's. I think, you know, probably Tottenham Hotspur fans, a bit of ups and downs with him at times, but he does put his heart into his play, and you know, I'm always very impressed with Danny Rose when I see him. But again, you know, he's in today's age for playing terms, he's coming towards the latter end of his career, and you know, he wants to try something new, and again, I don't think clubs these days stand in the way of players that really don't want to play for the club. So again, it's not one I'm pleased to see him go, but I think all in, if he wants to leave, then you know, it looks like he will find another club, and I'm sure there's plenty of takers. I think the only sticking point will be what Levy will want for him and what somebody will pay for him. Now, looking at possible replacements for those, there's lots of talk. You know, should it be Walker Peters? Or should it be Serge Aurier? Now, there's talk that West Ham are sniffing around Serge Aurier, and with his injuries, and I'm not over impressed with him, to be honest, as a player. I wouldn't be surprised to see him go. One of the other players I wouldn't be surprised to see miss 20 games last year is Victor Wanyama in midfield. I think with Ndombele coming in, I think he's likely to go. And then the other one that obviously has been talked about and we spoke in the last video was Toby Alderweireld. Roma obviously very keen on him. There's that 25 million release clause. The clubs have met and spoken, and that one looks like it could be cooling, because Toby Alderweireld is on the pre-season tour, and I think that's a good sign for Tottenham that he's gone on that, and hopefully some form of contract extension can be put in place for him. But I think that's a good sign, because I think if there'd have been really positive talks about him moving to AS Roma, I'm pretty sure he wouldn't have been included in the pre-season tour. Now, what was interesting was Juan Foyth, the young lad who was at the Copa America with Argentina. He wasn't, I don't think, expected to go on the pre-season tour, because obviously I think he played quite late in the Copa America, around about July 6th. I understand he's just got married as well to his 21-year-old girlfriend, and lo and behold, he's going to back on the pre-season tour. So that's a big statement there that you know, there's options for him. He came through his youth academy as an attacking midfielder. then went into a more central defensive role. Played a little bit for Spurs at right back, and then in the Copa America, I think in the knockout stages, he was the first choice right back, and apparently the reports are didn't see him play, but apparently the reports are that he played extremely well. So you've got a right back international Argentinian ready really to step in there. Obviously Cal Walker-Peters, promising 22-year-old. So I think between Foyth and Walker-Peters, that pretty much takes care of the right back situation. Hopefully the centre halves, with Vertonghen, Sanchez, Alderweireld, and Foyth has that ability to come into central defence if needed. So although that was looking a little bit shady with Toby potentially going to AS Roma, I think that is now a little bit more settled. We've then got the left back situation with Danny Rose, and the name that's continually mentioned there and has been for a number of months, well before the season ended, was Ryan Sessegnon of Fulham. Now he's 19 years old. There was criticism that he's not the best player that Tottenham should be signing, but I think it's a little bit unfair on him, for he wasn't playing in the best of Fulham sides last year, and for a young full-back, that's not always easy. He was also played in two different positions, so he can play as a traditional left-back, left wing-back, or he can play further up the field, and he was played between two different positions throughout the season for Fulham. Now, for a young lad that's trying to establish himself, and particularly in what was a poor Fulham side last year, it's not easy to try and really nail down, your confidence and your skill set when you're changing position in a poor team. So looking at him, I think, I'll probably do a full profile on him shortly if that one looks like it's going to happen. But I think that may not be a bad move for Spurs to take him as left back. I think also Walker-Peters has the ability to play on the left, from what I understand. So I would expect to see Ryan Sessegnon come in to Spurs. So we'll keep a close eye on that one. One of the other names that was mentioned as a potential coming in was William Saliba, and I think all the news was Spurs hijacking Arsenal for his signature, and I wasn't too excited about it because that was a player that was going to be loaned back anyway to Saint Etienne, and it looks like Arsenal are very close to signing him at around about £23 million. So I don't expect that one to happen. So I think that's all the defence, a sort of update on all the defence. In terms of the midfield, the big decisions there are Eriksen and Lo Celso, and no news on Eriksen, and I don't suspect we will hear anything on that one. Everyone's aware, if Tottenham don't sell him and he doesn't sign a new contract, his price is probably going down as the transfer window progresses, and that's one where I think, to put it bluntly, Daniel Levy could get screwed on the price on that one. So I don't expect anything to happen on that, and if it does, until we get near to the bitter end of the transfer window. Lo Celso, now that's an interesting one because Real Betis look like they've already sort of lined up their replacement, Nabil Fekir, linked with Liverpool through the transfer window, but it's looking like that deal is impending. And I think we're sort of at a bit of a stalemate with Lo Celso, Eriksen and Nabil Fekir. If Fekir does actually sign for Real Betis, then I think we could see the Lo Celso move go ahead. Otherwise, it'll probably wait until the Eriksen situation is sorted. There's also talk in the press that Man United came in for Lo Celso. I think Man United have probably been linked with every single player in the transfer market, and probably could do with signing more players than they've got. But again, the talk in the press is that Lo Celso said he wants to go to Spurs, and I think that was pretty plain. I put in a video, several weeks ago, that Lo Celso had pretty much made it plain that he wanted to play for Pochettino at Spurs. And, that's obviously one of those deals, I think, that Pochettino had decided long before the end of last season that was the player he wanted. He'd earmarked his player. The player obviously was aware of that, and to make sure there was no misunderstanding, Lo Celso nicely came out and said, "I want to play for Pochettino." So I expect Lo Celso to come, but I don't expect it to happen overnight, but it's promising that Nabil Fekir is looking like he's going as his replacement to Real Betis. Another one just to talk about, Dani Ceballos. We talked about him, and that was a deal I could never see happening, and I didn't quite see how he fitted into the Tottenham midfield, even if Eriksen were to leave and Lo Celso wasn't, because I saw them as two different players. Quality player, great young Spanish under-21 international, but I just couldn't quite see how that was going to work for Spurs. The other thing was, I think there was rumours Real Madrid wanted to keep him, and then it was, if they let him go, we let him go on a loan. Well, it's looking like Arsenal are probably going to give a loan offer for him, which looks like it'll suit Real Madrid, because really it looks like they see him as a long-term future at Real Madrid, and I can't see Daniel Levy taking somebody on loan, and no doubt there'll be a big loan fee and very serious wages just to hand him back to Real Madrid in a year or two. Levy's transfer policy is very much, let's get the right players in at a young age, these 19, 20, 21, 22, 23-year-old lads, and let's try and sell out these players that are 27, 28, 29, 30 while there's still some value on them, and let's move them out. And it sort of seems pretty clear that's what his tactics are. So Dani Ceballos, looking like he's going to Arsenal, unlikely now to come to Tottenham, I think. The only other name we talked about recently is Dani Alves, again as that potential right back spot. And Dani Alves, he's got, at 36 years of age, he's got a whole host of clubs after him. He's even got options to go back to Brazil. Got options, I think, to play in Italy in the Serie A, and heavily linked with Tottenham. And again, there's been reports that he's, representatives have had discussions with Tottenham on it. I understand he's just taking some time to think about his options, and I think he's probably unlikely to come to Tottenham, because I don't think Levy will guarantee him the sort of wages that he wants. And he really wants that 2-3 year contract to see him through to the World Cup in 2022, because his long-term ambition is to win the World Cup with Brazil in 2022. And I think it would be a real interesting one. I would love to see him turn up in the Premier League next year. But I don't think, in my heart of hearts, I don't think that one is likely to happen. I think that right back spot is João Foyth, and the fact that he's gone quickly onto the pre-season tour when perhaps he should have had a little bit more time off, I think is a big signal there that that's the way that one's going to go. So that's a quick update. There's other than Kieran Trippier, there's nothing actually done and dusted and signed and sealed, but I think we can sort of see the shape of where it's going to go. I would like to see Lo Celso in. I think they need some extra cover at left back, and I think Ryan Sessegnon is probably the best available out there. And again, he's a young lad, so there's plenty of potential there, and Pochettino can mould him into shape. As for Toby Alderweireld, I think that one looks, the fact that he's gone on pre-season tour, that hopefully he's going to be staying, and that just takes that pressure away, because to see Danny Rose, Kieran Trippier and Toby Alderweireld all leave, it is a big chunk of your defensive armoury, so that's good to see. Hope you'll enjoy the video. Hope you enjoyed the update. If you do, appreciate any support you can give in terms of liking the video, and if you want to subscribe to the channel, very much appreciate that. And thank you for watching once again.